When I was little, I wanted my nickname to be Sin instead of Cindy. Like, you know, my family was Sin, never. You know, so now finally I could be Sin.
For you from Girls Just Want to Have Fun back in the early 80s to Hey Now Girls Just Want to Have Fun in the 90s version.
How's everything changed for me?
Yeah,
Oh, drastically. Oh, yeah. I'm married. I got married. I thought I'd never get married. Now, yeah, but when I saw him, I figured, hey, get this guy now, because he's cute, nice, you know? I figured, but I did. I got married. I have a band. The funny thing is I started in a band. Before the world knew me, I started in a band. And now I kind of have a band again. And in that respect, it took me all this time to come back to what I wanted. And I also am able to direct my work. And it's more, it's easier now to make it more organic. There's not so much negotiating and steering through other people just to put your own painting down, whether it's in sound or visual. A lot of times before, I had to talk to other people to get them to do what I wanted, whereas now, the people I talk to get what I want are less, you know? It's not so many. So in that respect, it's night and day, because I'm happier, you know? I'm more at peace and excited about doing things, because there's not so much elbowing your way into your own work, you know?
I come up in the morning light, my mother says, when you gonna live your life right?
E aí, felas? Adentramos o ano de 1994, aonde a carreira da Cindy vai dar outra virada, dessa vez para melhor. Vamos sentir o gostinho do sucesso novamente, mas é claro que a gente vai ter alguns problemas aí, né? Que é de praxe. Em 1994, a Cindy lançou uma coletânea de sucessos 12 Little Sins and Then Some, que além de contar com seus maiores hits, contava também com 3 músicas inéditas. Uma delas, na verdade, é um remake de um de seus maiores hits, Girls Just Wanna Have Fun.
I was very lucky to be able to have a CD5 that offered so much music, real music, you know, and I was, it was the whole experience. It turned out to be something that I wasn't expecting. Wound up with all these versions, and, you know, as a musician, that's really kind of neat for me, and then I thought, well, as a music lover, I like to go and buy different versions of things. And since this wasn't all remixes and it was from scratch, I thought, you know, what a wonderful CD5. The video is just the completion of the story. And sometimes you can't really be literal. So you have to go and make it a little ambiguous so that the words can show more. And so, you know, it's a tug and pull. I've had great successes, and then I sit sometimes and I go, oh, why did I do that? You know, it's just every record you do, every video you do, you learn, you grow, and you become better at the craft. But it's a craft of storytelling.
Essa música fez muito sucesso pela Europa, só que tem uma questão aí sobre esse videoclipe. Esse videoclipe, ele na verdade continuou fazendo sucesso pela Europa, porque meio que os Estados Unidos se negou a passar esse clipe. Deixa eu contar esse babado aí pra vocês. Bem, vale lembrar que desde Sally Speedians, a Cindy ela vem dirigindo seus próprios videoclipes. Então, desde o vídeo passado, ela vem dirigindo seus clipes e ela dirigiu Hey Now também. E a ideia também foi dela. Mas para ela ter chegado nessa ideia de colocar várias drag queens dançando com ela no vídeo, aconteceu uma coisa meio chata. O Gay Games, traduzindo para o português jogos gays, que acontece nos Estados Unidos desde 1982, convidou a Cindy para uma apresentação. Então ela se reuniu ali com cerca de 50 drags para performar a música Hey Now. Acontece é que no palco onde ela estava ali performando a música junto com as suas colegas de trabalho, tinha um telão gigantesco atrás dela, ao qual não foi transmitido o rosto de nenhuma drag queen. O foco no telão todo daquela apresentação foi para Cyndi Lauper. E a Cindy ficou tipo, mas por Peraí. Então vocês estão me dizendo que a comunidade LGBTQIA+, Advanced, Mega Blaster, Big Master, Big Mac, tem preconceito? Preconceito dentro de uma comunidade que prega contra o preconceito. Gente, eu não tô entendendo. Pois é, Cindy. Eu que sou do meio, posso falar. Tenho lugar de fala, posso falar. A comunidade LGBT, sim, ela tem preconceito com drag queens. Tem preconceito contra trans. São gordofóbicos. Dentre outras coisas que eu posso passar aqui, tipo, a tarde inteira falando, mas ia dar um vídeo de 6 horas. E olhe lá. Pois é, amiguinhos. Existe preconceito dentro da comunidade que prega contra o preconceito. Quando a Cindy viu isso, ela falou assim: ah, é? Então vocês não vão mostrar as drags no telão. Tem problema não. Vou colocar elas no meu videoclipe. Pode deixar que eu mesmo mostro. Gravado em frente a Eunice Fury, lá no Queens, que é onde, no caso, Cyndi Lauper viveu sua infância toda, nasceu lá, blá blá blá. Foi um clipe que foi muito bem feito, bem dirigido, ficou muito legal. Porém, contudo, todavia, como eu já havia dito, os Estados Unidos não exibiu o clipe. Continua ali pela Europa.
And I insisted at that point that I had a mixed crew, men and women of all races, everyone, all preferences. And what it did was it changed the atmosphere on the set. There were kids that came to Flushing Meadow Park by the Sphere to watch. And you know when you get that feeling for a minute that you're in the right place at the right time doing the right thing? Well, I got it then because there were kids sitting there and they not only saw themselves in front of the camera because it's multiracial and sizes and what have you, but behind the camera. So that if a kid is watching you shoot, they see the possibilities in front or behind the camera. I thought to myself, well, you can't change the world in big ways, but you can in little ways, in your own little sphere. And so it was a wonderful experience to have. That part of the video was extraordinary. The other parts, you know, like getting the shots and having the steady cam go through that tiny corridor and it actually work, well, I was very elated about that. That was great. But, you know, you have your mishaps, you know, so I lucked out with that.
E como eu havia falado no início do vídeo, nessa coletânea, além de Reinal, tem também mais 2 músicas inéditas, que no caso é Come On Home. Inclusive foi lançado em 2 versões diferentes, mas não teve clipe.
Come on home, ba-da-da-da-da-da, don't be scared. And then, before I knew it, I was writing these words. And then later on, like now, those words, they're like what I'm living now. And I'm starting to, I always do that. It's an odd thing. I write something, and then later on, I find the irony of it is, that's my lesson that I'm learning now, you know? And I think it's a good song. It's scary. That's a scary concept, that wrote, but it's the truth. That's what I found happening, you know, on Come On Home.
E uma regravação da banda Blue Angel.
I Want to Be Strong, a song that you sang with your previous band Blue Angel. How important is this song to you?
Well, this album is, you know, a while ago everybody said you have to do greatest hits, and I have a problem with those kind of records. So as a singer, the records that I buy are like an anthology. So what I did was I wanted to make an anthology, and I'm Gonna Be Strong was the first song that was kind of a hit in Europe for me in Blue Angel. And so I feel that it definitely belonged on the record as how I started, and then how the world discovered me, and you know, and then so on until the end, Come On Home, which is the beginning. It's the end of the album, but it's kind of the beginning of the new record that I'm working on. because I'm doing it with somebody from my band, and you know, I've written it with someone from my band, and it just starts, it marks the start of a whole new thing. So that's why it starts with I'm Gonna Be Strong, because that's how I started, and that's why I got signed, I think, in the first place, as a voice, you know.
O pessoal da gravadora gostou muito de um cover que a banda Blue Angel fez da música I'm Gonna Be Strong, que na verdade é uma gravação bem antiga de 1963, gravada por Frank Lane. I'm gonna be strong and stand just as tall. Pois bem, vamos gravar um clipe. A gravadora decidiu que a Blue Angel seria divulgada na Europa primeiramente. Então o primeiro single I'm Gonna Be Strong foi divulgado aí na Alemanha. E o clipe nada mais é do que a Cindy, junto com a banda, né, no caso aí o Blue Angel, executando a música em um espaço que parecia meio que um palco improvisado. Um orçamento bem fajutinho, e que um pouquinho mais tarde foram descobrir que era o empresário deles que estavam fazendo essas falcatruas. O empresário fez um contrato no qual nenhum dos integrantes leu direito, e que depois a Cindy entendeu que tudo o que não era usado do orçamento dado pela gravadora, o empresário podia embolsar. Cindy teve novos problemas com a sua garganta e teve que fazer uma operação, uma cirurgia nas cordas vocais. E como o single não estava indo muito bem, o dinheiro não estava entrando.
She was very cute and she could sing her brains out. She always said, I'm gonna be the best rock and roll singer.
It went lead. It made 12,000 copies. Hey, big.
I'm from the band. I came from a band called Blue Angel, and I missed working in a band situation. It's hard to be a solo artist because you don't enjoy the collaboration. And so much of this work that I do is collaborative. So it's nice to have a band again.
A Cindy já havia regravado 2 músicas da Blue Angel antes nos seus discos. No primeiro disco da Cindy, She's So Unusual, existe a música Witness. Essa música, apesar de não estar no disco da Blue Angel, foi gravada uma demo primeiramente pela banda Blue Angel. E no seu segundo disco de estúdio, Two Colors, tem a música Maybe Well Know, que não teve clipe, mas chegou a ser single, e que também era uma gravação da Blue Angel. Agora a Cindy regrava I'm Gonna Be Strong, que no caso seria sua primeira música de trabalho como artista profissional dentro de uma banda. Ela deu uma roupagem bem diferente do que a gente conhece da original gravada pela Blue Angel, com aquele solo bem poderoso, e ela tá linda com aquele cabelo tipo meio mostarda, fazendo aquele contraste com o casaco vermelho, dentro de uma casa, curtindo a música e curtindo a solidão, né? Que no caso traz na letra dessa música.
How has your experience as a director been, Cindy?
Well, pretty good. It was the first time I did it.
It was difficult.
It became easier because it was one less person in between me and the camera guy, and also, but I still had, like, you know, those voices you have in your head, the committee that said, "Who do you think you are? What makes you think you could?" You know. But I got beyond that. But I loved it. It was like painting. You know, it's like a continuation of the thought, and then you can create visually what you're trying to say in the lyric.
Okay.
E aí a Cindy começou a fazer uma pequena turnê, em que inclusive incluía essas drag queens.
It was supposed to come out 2 years ago, actually more than 2 years ago now. It was supposed to come out in 93, and I wanted to finish my Hatful of Stars record, so I put it out in 94 in the rest of the world, and it sold almost 3 million copies so far. I wanted to put a nice collection together, kind of one that I would want to buy, and one that would be timeless. I always change those songs around. There are many versions to keep them fresh. And during the Hatful of Stars tour, we were doing kind of a ska, reggae, actually ska dance hall version of Girls. And that's when I first incorporated the old Redbone song, Come and Get Your Love, into it.
Somebody
up calling it the carnival version. I did, called it the carnival version, because that's what it was like. When we handed it in, I was told, whoa, sounds kind of live. So I thought, yeah, but, you know, okay. And then they said, you know, it should be more dancehall. Why don't you go down to Jamaica and work with Brian Robbie? So, you know, being good sport, I said, okay. There, and we start working on this arrangement. And it was actually quite wonderful because musically, what became and started to develop was an African guitar section, because there were 3 guitar players. There was this fellow Gitsy, who was their associate and always works with them. And we did kind of this wonderful African rhythm guitar stuff, where everyone plays a really tiny part and it all kind of fits. Now I have this dance hall version. You know, it's kind of really very hard, though. It was difficult because there was no map to follow. I never heard anyone sing to dance hall rhythm. It's not a thing that you do. It's really set up for rap. So then we needed to put in the melodic lines again, because when we brought it back, they said, this is too dance hall. I said, yeah, okay. So they were working in New York. I was working in Connecticut. Sly was working someplace between Jamaica and England. I'm not quite sure. And I made this kind of neat hip-hop loop, reggae pop thing. It's American, I'd have to say, because in America, we have all of these cultures, so it's kind of really an American type of thing, I guess. It took another level when I had a float on in the gay parade. It became such a celebration to see everyone. There was about 500,000 people at that parade, and to see everyone in such a uplifting kind of frenzy. Everyone was dancing and happy. And I thought that, you know, after all the effort that went into it, it was a wonderful thing to have accomplished, because the song does and did bring joy to many people. So it was a song about celebrating who you are. And all the girls want to have fun.
Cristina e Nicholas, a gente está começando Semana Rock. Se alguém estava com saudades da Cyndi Lauper e seu pop anos 80, pôde matar essa semana num único show em São Paulo. A cantora veio promover seu último álbum, 12 Deadly Sins and Then Some, que é uma coletânea de antigos sucessos e só tem 2 músicas inéditas. O show foi no Olímpia na terça-feira.
Detonou, nota 10 pra Cyndi.
Foi demais, cara.
Maravilhoso, amei.
O visual dela, assim, muito, muito legal. A voz detonou.
I always had a funny sound to my voice, and I could never put my finger on this thing. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong. You know, I went to vocal lessons. I learned all I could, just because I had this sound that didn't go away.
Só faltava tocar Goonies.
I don't like that song. I know you like that song. And I had a bad experience with it, so I don't do it no more. Sorry.
There's a lot of differences between who I am now and who I was when I first came out. I had no idea about being a famous persona. I wasn't. I used to wear a button that said I'm nearly famous.
Tinha que jogar alguma coisa pra ela. Só que se eu jogasse a camiseta eu ia sair no frio. Então, sei lá, acho que meio um pouco sujo, mas foi de coração, tá ligado? Pegou, ela pegou. Achou meio nojento, mas pegou.
The sad thing for me was being totally naive and not knowing about fame and not knowing that After you become famous, it doesn't nullify everything that happened. It doesn't change you inside. Oh, I was expecting this big. You know, when I get famous, it'll change everything. Well, all it changed was that I can do my work. I can record another record. I can take my thoughts and actually put them down. But it didn't change who I was inside.
Até mais!